Hi, this is Greg with Lionquestfitness. Today we're going to be talking about the nickel-plated Sissy pistol. I want to say a couple of things about the shooting first. One of the things is, I have a target. People are going to see that target. Well, you're drawing against a loaded gun pointed at you. Well, I can't change the diagram, so we'll just have to assume that I see somebody drawing a gun, and then I do the same myself in that. Also, I'm wearing winter clothing, and that's just being realistic. It's going to be slower. You're not just going to sweep a cover garment and away you go. You're going to have to dig down to get that weapon, most likely. And another thing, I like this, and I kind of picked it up from Dan the Wolfman, but it's modified. Now, fence positions like this, but this is more of a modified fence position, kind of a neutral position, but you've got your hands to be able to do whatever you need to do. So let's talk about the nickel-plated Sissy pistol. And actually, this is stainless. This is not nickel, and it is shiny. And I do have this gun duded up a good bit with these Bottelier grips and the faux ivory, but they do give me a better purchase on the gun. And the 640, it weighs more than a Chief Special, or definitely more than an airweight. I believe 22, 23 ounces. The barrel is 1/8 of an inch longer. Actually more than that, 1/4 of an inch longer. It's 2 1/8 inch as compared to 1 inch and 7/8 of most of the J-frame revolvers. So I tend to call this a beefed up J-frame. Now normally I carry 38 plus P, although it will handle 357. Bit of a stinger. If I was going to carry 357, I'd probably have to go to oversized rubber grips. This gun is one that I've been carrying a lot here lately. It works for me, especially with some of the Azula holsters I have. Of course, obviously the pocket holster, but then also my favorite carry is outside the waistband. And the good thing about this size Azula holster is I also carry my 605 and 856 Taurus revolvers in these holsters. When I had a Ruger SP-101, I could use these holsters for that gun. And of course, you know, I had the cross draw holster, and I really like this one. This one's, I use this a lot if I'm going to be driving and in the car a lot. And one little tip I want to show y'all, holsters, leather holsters tend to get scuffed up. And real simple fix, get you a brush, put just a little bit of black or brown polish, and just work. You know, you can work those scuffs out very easily. So I gave you a little extra there. So let's talk about why I carry, or why I carry. I don't necessarily recommend it for everybody, but why I carry a 5-shot J-frame revolver. So me personally, why would I carry a 5-shot revolver for self-defense? Well, my friend Dan Theodore, and please check his channel out. He's really knocking it out of the park with some of his videos here lately. But he gets all over me about it. And I get it, because I know, you know, he lived in Atlanta a lot of years. Atlanta's high crime area. Even in the better parts of Atlanta, you still have a lot of crime. So yeah, you know, in a place like that, or if I go to an urban area, I'll carry something low profile, like this Taurus G2C, and, you know, more capacity, but still low profile and not as threatening as, say, my Glock 19 or my CZ P07. And that's the thing. This is not a threatening gun to, say, like law enforcement. Say, like you get involved in a defensive shooting. Well, 5 rounds, you're obviously preparing just for defense, you know. You know, that's kind of how I look at it. You do have to train with a J-frame revolver. You can't just expect to be able to buy one and defend yourself. And that's any gun you carry. You need to practice and train with it and be competent with it. These guns are grab and go. You know, I can put this in my pocket. I don't have to worry about having a magazine. I do carry some spare ammunition, but chances of a reload or in a self-defense situation are extremely rare. And this is more of a, you know, get this person away from you, you get out of there. An extrication gun, you know, something to get you out of a bad situation. And something that's simple, you know, I can carry this if I have to go in a government building or a school, you know, take it out of my pocket, you know, take it off my belt, stick it, you know, lock it up, and I'm good to go. You know, come back, put it back on, and I can go about my business. It's not hard to carry a gun like this, or at least it's not for me, and it tends to conceal very well. So these are some of the reasons, and there's more. You know, this is a very much a point and shoot gun. But there's a lot of reasons that I carry a gun like this, and you know, it's my choice. It's something now it's not necessarily something I recommend for everybody, because you do have to train with a gun like this. And better than an air weight, when you have weight, it helps manage the recoil much better. So one of the things that I want to talk about is something called minding your own business. Now, my chances of getting into violent confrontations are very small. And I don't hang around drug dealers. I don't sell drugs. I don't hang around people who are criminally minded. You know, I don't drink. I don't go to clubs. You know, I try to live peacefully with everybody. In road rage, you know, sometimes you run into people doing stupid stuff and acting crazy on the road, and it's like, okay, whatever, God bless you, see you later. You know, you don't get angry. That's a rule of mine. You don't get angry at things like that, because people are going to do stupid things and outrageous things sometimes. That's okay. Shoot bird at you. All right. Hi. You know, call you names, profane names. It's like, well, okay, whatever. God bless you, sir. I spend my time, I do spend some time doing volunteer firefighting and rescue. I haven't been doing a lot lately because I've been tied up with school. But, I spend my time with my family. I spend my time with my grandkids. Take my granddaughter to the bouncy houses. I spend time at church. I go to church. So family, church, and of course school is my work right at the present time. And, I do not put myself in situations where I could have to defend myself. I'm not saying it won't ever happen, and you prepare for what could happen, but I don't take a lot of risk. I don't go strapped with a duty-sized firearm to go protest ICE or some other government law enforcement agency, which is not real smart if you ask me. Well, it's his right to do that. Well, yeah, but something, you also use common sense in what you do. If there's a potential for violence, and don't be there. And that's why I want to talk about minding your own business. Many years ago, when I was a teenager, I was in my late teens. I lived in a very rough city at that point in time. Got into a lot of trouble back in those days. And I was late one night. I was leaving a high school dance. I had been drinking. Another red flag, because alcohol and drugs, affect your judgment. I saw 3 men beating up a black guy in a parking lot. I was walking several blocks to where I lived, and I saw them beating up this young black man. Or that's what it appeared to me, that they were beating him up. But so I came up and said, whoa, wait a minute, this is wrong. What are y'all doing? And I was told to butt out, and I did not butt out. And the next thing that happened, the fight was on. It was quite a fight. I was pretty tough, and back in those days, young man, full of testosterone and all that. But then it dawned on me that they were undercover police officers, and I gave up. All right. But as soon as I gave up, then I got beat up. All right. Once again, minding your own business. Now, in this day and time, we have cell phones. If I saw something like that, I would call it in and say, look, this is what's happening. Don't know what's happening. Please send an officer. Well, the brunt of it was, I got arrested. And then, and what was funny, it was 2 undercover officers, and an undercover punk or snitch, a young guy who wasn't a police officer. And it was funny, just as soon as I gave up, instead of handcuffing me, he grabbed me around by the neck in a bar chokehold, which crushes your windpipe, and I made myself relax enough to where he realized there was no resistance. And after they had handcuffed me, he kept looking at me and goes, say something. And I'm thinking the whole time, even back then, it's like, okay, you punk. I'm not about to say anything with my hands handcuffed behind my back to you so you can smack me in the head. Anyway, by the time they got me to the jail, they realized they had not identified themselves as police officers, and they realized they'd made a mistake. So I got unarrested. But the bottom line is, I got involved in a situation I had no business getting involved in. That's why I say, mind your own business. Don't be a white knight. Don't, if you feel like you need to call law enforcement, call law enforcement. But don't interject yourself into situations that you don't know what's going on. And this is Greg with Lionquest Fitness, reminding you, always be prepared for the unexpected.